Welcome to BFB and TPOT, but my favorite is eliminated. This one is self-explanatory. Whichever contestant is my favorite out of those up for elimination is the one who will leave the game in that episode. Contestant replacements will occur, although they will only be used for determining which contestants go to what teams in TPOT and post-split BFB. I ended up being the first team to lose in this episode as they did not get a basket to X in time. Out of everyone on this team, Fanny is my favorite, which makes her the first contestant to leave the game. Leafy's dictatorial leadership style is what leads Beep to their first defeat in BFB 2. Balloony is my favorite on this team, so he will join Fanny in Eternal Algebra class. Come to think of it, how did he know about it in advance anyways? Bommy's partial explosion causes Team Ice Cube's swing to break, though we don't see what caused his partial explosion in the first place. Donut is my favorite on this team, so he has to go. Pen's rendering of 4 absolutely sucked. What does not suck is Tree, who has recently overtaken Remote as my favorite on this team. Unfortunately for him, that means he is out of the game. Beep are the first repeat losers due to some bad luck with free food. Since my favorite is already gone, this means my second favorite, Cloudy, will be leaving instead. Since Clock ended up with the Twinkle in the end, the losers lost a member. They do not lose Loser. Instead, they lose Pin, who is my favorite on this team narrowly. I feel this team losing on episode 8 is considered something of a cosmic joke in universe, considering 8-Ball is on this team. It is not 8-Ball who would get out here, however, but Basketball, who has grown on me a lot in the Teapot era. Steepy gets a bad rap because of this episode, as he did cheat and that wasn't okay, though he has redeemed himself since. Regardless, my favorite on this team is not him, but Eraser. Just like they are the first team to lose a second time, Beep are also the first team to lose for a third time. This means I have to dip to my third favorite, who is Leafy, which means she leaves 8 episodes late. For the rejoin, I will select the contestant who is my least favorite to come back on the losers instead of my favorite. You may hope for Cloudy to return or for it to be Tree, but it's Leafy. Now it's Iance's turn to become repeat losers. I now need to oust my second favorite member of this team, and that would be Snowball. Coincidentally, my top 2 favorites were each bottom 2 once. The third and final team to become repeat losers are Team Ice Cube, as they failed to guess that Spongy was the imposter. Gelatin is my second favorite member on this team, so he will leave. At long last, this team finally loses. Took them long enough to fail at something. Fun fact, they also never placed first in a challenge before this. Anyways, Lollipop is my favorite here, so she has to go. Finally, in the last elimination before the split, Team Ice Cube becomes the other team to have lost 3 members. Of those that remain, Bommy is easily my favorite, so he is the last contestant not to make it to the split. Pin replacing Loser and Bommy replacing Spongy rejoin the game at the split, and 40 other contestants join 2's show. This leaves us with just 14 left. The Have-Cots end up failing to get X back to 4, even though they technically succeeded, but the Have-Nots got the credit. Teardrop is easily my favorite out of this team, so she leaves. This time, the Have-Nots lose, since their tower was destroyed while the Have-Cots tower at least remained partially intact. Of these 7, Bommy is my favorite, so he leaves just like Spongy, who he is replacing. The Have-Nots managed to turn things around this time and force the Have-Cots into a defeated position, as they managed to grow the aloe vera by much more. Ruby will be removed from contention just like the real episode. Have-Nots lose again as Leafy wisens up and douses X with a bucket of ice that was lying around from when 4 offered them. Pin narrowly beats Blocky in terms of my favorability of them, so she's gone again. The Have-Nots then lose for a second time in a row, as a result of Woody absolutely hating his gift. Blocky is easily my favorite out of those who remain, so it's his turn to say goodbye. After Leafy throws the challenge to protect Fiery, the Have-Cots lose. I think out of those that remain, I slightly prefer Bubbles, so this one is the same as normal. The Have-Nots lose the last challenge of the teams phase, so one of these 4 will not be making the merge. That one is Woody, who I narrowly prefer to Taco, who now replaces him in turn. As a refresher, in terms of who gets up for elimination, but not in terms of favorability, Taco is replacing Woody, and David, Teardrop, which is why these 2 lose this episode. Nevertheless, Taco is my favorite out of these, which is why she will leave finally. As another refresher, Dora is replacing Lollipop and Fiery Jr. is replacing Gelatin. Leafy is my favorite here, which causes her to leaf the game, and leafing Flower as the only contestant not replacing someone else. Since Fiery is replacing Leafy, that means he's the only one who wins immunity in this episode, so the rest lose. I would say that Dora is my favorite of everyone left, so there will be no islands for her. Flower is still the only one not replacing someone else in this elimination order on the BFB side. However, that changes as she is now my favorite out of those who remain, resulting in her downfall. At the final elimination before the finale, we are nearly finished with the BFB side. It is now a binary choice of David and Fiery, and I prefer Fiery, so he is who will go. David versus Fiery Jr. Who will win and who will lose, or rather, who do I care the least about? The winner of BFB, who I feel absolutely nothing either way towards, is David. Congratulations to him, I guess. Now we can move to TPOT finally. I'm just going to have winner and price tag debut as normal, as they are in fact my favorites of the debuters at this point. But even if they weren't, it wouldn't be very fair to pit some rando, whose personality we don't really know, against established characters. Death Pact again lose first. Out of everyone on this team, Remote is my favorite, which makes her the first boot of TPOT. The strongest team on Earth, which would likely be called something different without Snowball around, actually turns out to be the second weakest. To be honest, I don't really care much for most of them, but out of these, I suppose Robot Flower is the one I have the most cares to give. We have reached the part where double eliminations begin. Let's start with Team 8 since they did worse in the challenge. Honestly, outside of Loser, I'm pretty fond of all of them, but Coiny is narrowly my favorite, I think. The S is the opposite situation to Team 8's where I don't care too much for most of them. Winner is my favorite of these ones, I think. Just Not Lose next, and they are mostly solid. I think Pillow is probably who I would say is my favorite. Death Pact again, TPOT's first repeat losers. Between everyone who remains, I think post-hiatus BFDIA has moved Pencil to be the best of those who remain on this team for me, but due to being on teams with others I still prefer, she makes it a lot farther than the real series. Strongest team on Earth? More like weakest team on Mars. Eggy is narrowly the second contestant to leave weakest team on Mars. Are You OK is also the final team that has more than one member to lose. Golf Ball is definitely my favorite of this team, so she will be the last first member of a team to leave. Here we see the S lose again. For me at least, Bottle is the clear favorite, which means that she has to go. For the third time, Death Pact again loses again. This time it's Marker's turn to depart from the game. Given Just Not damaged the roller coaster that they were told to repair, they will lose first. Out of those who remain, Book is my clear favorite. The S loses for a third time, as well as the second time in a row. Ice Cube has grown on me quite a lot recently, while Yellowface has fallen off hard in my opinion. This means he is safe and Icy will evaporate. Are You Okay is not okay, as they are going to lose another member at my discretion. That member will be... Tennis Ball. Team 8's had a good streak going, but all win streaks come to an end eventually. Despite really liking most of this team, Gady is my clear favorite of those who remain, so she goes next. In case you were curious, Teardrop is both my favorite and least favorite member of Teardrop. As for Just Not, it's Taggy who has to check out. The strongest team has their third loss at this point. Match is probably the one I care for the most out of these 5, which means she finally leaves the game a good while later than normal. Just Not then proceeds to lose for a 4th time, the final team to lose before the team swap. I don't care for any of them all that much, but I will go for Cake, since he has one of my favorite designs of any contestant. Out of the 4 new teams that have just been formed, Cloudy did worse, which means that my favorite of their members, Fries, will depart from the game. As of this video's release, who he replaces is unknown, as we do not know who will be eliminated. Like with Fries, we do not know who the eliminated player on Bagged will replace. However, I do know that the eliminated player here will be Needle, as she is my favorite of these 6 contestants. I even voted her in the real episode, in fact. Finally, someone from the exit will be joining the game. Like with the rejoin, the winner will be my least favorite out of those who are there, which would happen to be Cloudy. Welcome to the power of 2. He will join on Team 2, as that is the team I predict will get the exitor, given that they neither get the straggler 25th contestant, nor are they up for elimination. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe with notifications on, and I'll see you in the next video.